Politics.
We're glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're still watching TVC Breakfast, and we're live from our Abuja studio. And with us in the studio is the Minister of State, Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi. Well, thank you for staying with us still on the program. Well, agriculture in Nigeria has been adversely affected by the impact of climate change. This has led to crop failures, reduced yields, and change in the growing season. How is the administration helping rural farmers build resilience and also adapt new ways of sustaining productivity instead of the reliance on rainfall, which has become very unpredictable?
Thank you very much. You see, agriculture is science. Okay. And so the foundation of agriculture is research and then innovation and technology. What we realized since we came on board is that if you have a production system, somebody should be seeing what is happening and feeding it with new, improved way of doing this, what we call agronomic practices. Now, our research institute, and Nigeria has a very robust research system. But over the years, they've suffered. It might interest you to know that the research institutes have never been assessed, evaluated, and supported in a massive way to support the large agricultural productivity we're expecting for the past 40 years. The last assessment and review of the research institute was done during the Shagari regime. But as we speak today, this is happening under the regime of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, because the National Agricultural Development Fund, which has just came on board, has now conducted what we call, baseline survey and needs assessment of the Agricultural Research Institute and Federal Colleges of Agriculture in Nigeria. The report was just appraised last week. It was presented by the consultants last week. What does this mean? It means we now want to see the capacity of our research institutes to respond to these things you have talked about. Because when there is climate change, you need technology that will respond to it by having what we call drought tolerance, disease resistant, short duration varieties. It's only researchers that can do this. But where the researchers are not supported, how can they do that? And when you go and import wrongly, you end up with the kind of case we had with the ginger and with the tuta absoluta and even with the onion, which was reported just recently, when the onion producers, marketers, and processors visited us to tell us that somebody went and brought the wrong seed and it affected people. So, like I said, the president is not just looking at how do we solve the common, the problem that is eating us up, but what do we do to put a sustainable path so that when we exit, we're not going to have a re-entry. And I think that is what we're doing. And with this, the target is to have the Research Institute respond first to our food security crops. We're talking about maize, rice, wheat, soy, cassava, yam, potato, cowpea, and the like. All of them are our top priority. And all the institutes where these things are, they will be given all the necessary attention so that the researchers can see the problem in the field, respond to it in terms of all these things you have talked about. Okay. And I think that is the way to go.
Yeah, Honourable Minister, good to hear that the research institutes will be, will I say incentive, a lot of
they will
funds
be revived and revitalized.
So we have things like the Nigerian Institute for Oil Palm Research in Benin going to have a new life. Now, my worry is, for instance, we used to have the presidential initiative on cassava. Though it's been acknowledged that we're still a leading producer of cassava, but the fact is that Nigeria is not a key player in the global market.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask, what is responsible if we have this huge capacity and we are not key players in the global market? And also, we used to have in the First Republic, we had the cocoa in the southwest, we have the oil palm in the east, we have the granite in the north. Now, we have the president introducing the geopolitical commission. Let me use the word geopolitical commission. Is your ministry working with this to see how we can revive those old-time capacities we do have and to ensure that the value chain of production is sustained and promoted?
Well, let me say thank you for this question. That's why you see me smiling, because one of the things we have just recognized after appraisal is what you have just said. I would have said maybe you stole
have
it from
an
us.
inside information.
Yes. But let me say this, you are very right. Today, Nigeria is the #1 producer of cassava globally. But when you check the global trade statistics, the bar, Nigeria, is not even visible. So what happened is this. We had what we call the Root and Tuber Expansion Program, which ran since 1990s up to maybe I think about 2008 or thereabout. And we have done the expansion. So right now, just this year's budget, haven't realized that we have expanded. But for what? We have decided to change to what we call the Root and Tuber Industry and Export Development Program. Now this program is now going to look at the industrial application of cassava, which is many. Issue of starch, high quality cassava flour, and all the other things that is produced from cassava, so that we can also partake in the global what do they call it market, which is a multi-billion market, and Nigeria has the capacity. If we can get even 20% of our total production processed into all of this, that will be a massive injection of opportunity for job creation and all the other things that Nigerians so desire. And so this program, we're looking at it, and in terms of partnership, there are many partners who've lined up. In fact, even NASENI, National Agency for Science, Education and Infrastructure, we realize they have certain capacity that we have to bring in terms of this. So you are right, and I will tell you clearly that there is a response already, and we are working very hard to make sure that this response is not going to just be, like I said, it's not a flash in the pan. So we take our time to do the programming, to bring in all the actors, so that at the end of the day, we'll definitely get the result that this is intended to achieve.
Well, gender inequality is still an issue hindering agricultural development in Nigeria. How is the administration helping women like myself remove barriers limiting access to resources, finance, decision-making, opportunities?
Well, the president once again has got it right when his 8-point agenda says inclusivity. No one should be left out, whether by gender, by location, geography, by anything. And I think for us in the ministry, we are fortunate we have a gender policy in agriculture. And in everything we do, we realize that when you take the value chain, there are areas where women have a very strong, innate capacity for. And in those areas, we are doing what we can to support women so that they can be key players in those areas. You look at processing. That's a key area that women are involved in. And here we have a program that is looking at production of nutrient-dense food, because the nutrition challenge of the country also is a major cause for concern. And so our nutrition department and nutrition and food safety department is looking at this. Remember, I think last year we launched the National Nutrition and Food Safety Dashboard, where we are able to have insight into where we are having nutrition challenges, where we are having food safety issues, so that we'll be able to address them head on. So for us, honestly, it's something all-inclusive. And remember, in all of this, the economy is one. And that is where the coordinating minister of the economy, my brother Mr. Wale Edu, is playing a very key role of bringing all the key sectors together under the economic management team. And their #1 focus in the economic management team is food security. And so all of these things you can see is a whole of government approach, because we know there are sectors that if they are doing well and the others are not doing well, it will rub off negatively on it. So we are looking at all those sectors and how they synergize and support the attainment of the overall goal of bringing economic growth, job creation,
how
prosperity.
How soon will this be implemented? Because you can understand my own concern, my own personal bias.
Yes, I understand.
Because we keep hearing, oh, it's in the pipeline.
No, ours is not a question of pipeline. You see, let's face reality.
Okay.
We're not doing magic here. Problems that have been there for years, like the researchers I've just told you, see the number of years they've been left unattended. So that we are intending to do this, and we have started. I think is what is important. Like I always say, when children, for example, come from, they are roaming about and get home, and they are hungry, when they ask, where is Mama? And they say, Mama is in the kitchen. They relax because they know something is coming. And I think what we are doing is trying to solve Nigerians' problem in a manner that is not a flash in the pan. We're not here to just say good things for Nigerians. No, everything I have said here are things that we are involved in. I have sat in a meeting where we are discussing this, and I've been to the field to see these things happening. So we're not here to just play gimmicks.
So are you also in collaboration with the Office of the First Lady? Because we understand that she too is also into agriculture.
The Office of the First Lady has actually opened up the aspect of gender inclusivity, because she did this, competition, every home a garden competition, and all the other agricultural program under her Renewed Hope initiative. And she partnered with the ministry, and the result was unveiled last year, and as a result of which the ministry has now taken over the entirety of that program, where we're going to support women. We are also going to have outreach in the, in the colleges, or schools, secondary schools. Because you see, those days, school farms are sources where farmers, students are taught the art of farming and other things. So all of this is being revived. The Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria just launched what they call the Renewed Hope Agricultural Technology Adoption Program, RATAP. This is designed so that when these technologies are developed, let them not be on the shelf. Let them be out there in the field. Okay. And the ARCN is doing whatever they can to make sure that subsequently, using the schools, because if you have young Nigerians in their secondary school, boarding schools with farms, if we take technology there, then that technology now becomes widely available where these children are coming from. Okay. So we are looking at all the processes. And, agriculture is a big thing, because more than 70% of our population still depend on agriculture. And so it's a huge issue, and we are not leaving any stone unturned. For example, extension. We realize the extension agents, we need to train them. But beyond training them, the ratio of extension to farmer is still low. So what do? Digital technology to the answer. The ministry is currently in the process of developing a robust extension platform that will be digitally available and in multiple languages that are common in the country. Okay, let me just bring this in. I know policies, it's said that policy is not the problem with Nigeria. We have good policies. Absolutely. It's implementation and the continuity. Yeah. Now, there was this policy that was introduced in 2022. That is the National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Policy, the NATIP. Yeah. Are you still pursuing this policy, or you have brought in your own new policy? Well, you see, when a new government comes on board, as in this one, the president came out with an agenda that, look, I've assessed the whole of Nigerian problems, and these are the things I want to do. Now, within that context, he has given us an 8-point agenda. Food security is number one. But the ministry is contributing to beyond the food security, because there is areas of economic growth and job creation the ministry is having contribution to make. Poverty reduction, we also have contribution to make. So what we have done is to review the NATIP and align components of it to the Renewed Hope agenda as our priority. Because in every respect, you must prioritize, because resource constraint is a constant. You can never have all the resources you want to do all the things you want to do. So what do? The wise thing to do is to prioritize. So we've prioritized, and in prioritizing, we've looked at enablers. For example, the cooperative sector is a very veritable tool for mobilizing capital, for mobilizing, human capacity. So the cooperative sector has been neglected over the years. We are currently in the process of reviewing. We just had a technical session where we brought all the experts in the sector to look at what we have done over the past 1 year, reviewing, because there was a round study. And we intend to take this further, because in the Renewed Hope agenda of the president, in his manifesto, if you go in there, you will see where he talked very glowingly about using cooperative. So we are bringing life to that promise, because he has made it, and we are here to give life to it. The cooperative sector is going to be reformed. In fact, next week, we had a program where we're going to flag off capacity building for cooperative societies, and at the same time support to cooperative society that into farming. So these are the things we're doing, and all of these are a component of the NATIP that you talked about. For example, the mechanization program is a component of the NATIP, and we're actually taking it in. Even the growth of what do they call it, National Agricultural Growth Scheme is actually a component of also the NATIP. So the NATIP is definitely in action because the president believes in continuity. Like he said, I inherited both asset and liability. And as an accountant, he knows how to deal with asset and liability, and we are dealing with it based on his leadership direction, based on his vision, and I believe it's just a matter of time. Nigerians will begin to see the results of all of these efforts, inshallah.
Of course. You recently talked about the plans of the federal government to recapitalize the Bank of Agriculture. How would this address complaints about the Bank of Agriculture's high interest rate for farmers and its limited reach and its lack of transparency in the allocation of loans to farmers?
You know, interestingly, during the last G20, in Brazil, the president directed us to go on a study tour. Myself, the Minister of Livestock, and some other private sector participants. And when we went there, we were looking at the livestock sector, but at the same time seed. Because for the livestock sector to succeed, which is a gold mine waiting to happen, and by the way, ever since we know this country, everybody has been clamoring you need a livestock. And the president has created a Ministry of Livestock Development. This signpost his vision for turning around what you call negative threats or situations into great opportunities, because the farmer-herders conflict is a thing of concern. With this ministry now, that will be a thing of the past because it is going to receive first-hand information, attention. Now, during that trip, interestingly, when we met all of the players, we wanted to know what are the success factors, critical success factors in Brazil. And one of it is, of course, access to capital at very low interest rate. And what we saw there was 4% for certain categories of people based on certain conditions they must meet, and 8% for certain categories of people based on certain conditions they have met. And we are looking at that. The Office of the Vice President has been looking through the National Economic Council at how the Bank of Industry is going to be reformed and revitalized. Work has been ongoing, and we are confident from what we had within this first quarter, that effort will be unveiled. Now, what does this do? It is going to bring a new Bank of Agriculture that is going to be dealing only with genuine farmers. Because the problem we've had in the past is the moment there is money, everybody becomes a farmer in the ear, digitally, in the bedroom, portfolio, and all the like. This time around, we are saying no to portfolio farmers, no to ghost farmers, no to fake farmers. And as a ministry, we are working with NIMSI to develop a robust farmer database that will be based on GPS, location of the farmers, will know who you are, what you do, and all of this, again, is tied down to the farmer's soil health card scheme that I talked about earlier. So that when we know your farm, we will help you to know the status of your farm, the health of your farm, so that we can tell you, yes, you need this type of agrochemicals, yet you need this type of intervention so that the productivity of your soil can guarantee the kind of operations you are doing. So it's a lot of work going on. And you know, when you meet so many challenges, it will take so long. And that's why Nigerians are thinking nothing is happening. But I want to assure Nigerians that we are working around the clock. We know we eat every day. So we are not resting on our oars.
No, Ramadan is around the corner.
Yes, so we are working very hard, because a nation that cannot feed itself definitely will face myriads of challenges. And the president understands this very well. And that is why all of these programs that I have mentioned are in the offerings, and many more are in the offerings, because we believe we need to work with partners, and we cannot work in silos again.
All right. Honorable Minister, we must thank you so much for your time with us on the program. It was a very robust discussion, and I must say I'm already attracted to, going into agriculture on a large scale, although I'm in it in a mini scale. But
in fact, what we even want, we want everybody to come back to agriculture, because agriculture is the future. That is where the money is. And let's go back to it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your time.
Pleasure.
Well, that's our package from us here in Abuja. It's back to you in the studio, Veronica and Ibrahim.
All right, thank you to Jesu for that conversation, as well as Eshomomo. It was indeed a robust conversation, and I like that the minister mentioned that this administration is ensuring that it continues